my name is Renee Smith. I want to welcome you to the 9th Annual Independent Authors Book Expo. I am the CEO and founder of IABX, which is Independent Authors Book Experience. We are so excited to have all these authors here today. We have over 42 authors who are participating from all across the United States. We have people from Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. We're so excited to have them. And this year, we're here partnering with the Mayor of Linden and the Linden Public Library and the City of Linden to host this 9th annual. So we're very excited. We have so many things going on. We have the Children's Corner, we have activities for the kids, face painting, author readings, arts and craft. The fire department is here with the fire truck, so we're just so excited to have everyone here. Please come on down. We're having a lot of fun.
We have a beautiful day here, a lot of great authors out here today. I wish I could have bought a book from everybody, but I just don't have that kind of money today. But I did buy some books, okay? It's a great event, a great event.
My name is Dr. Peggy Rothbaum. I'm a psychologist, but I'm also a writer and an artist. And I'm happy to be here. Well, I have 3 editions of this book called Help America Heal, because our country obviously needs some healing. I have 1 boy, 1 girl, and I have 1 in Spanish. I have a pet loss book that I wrote with my veterinarians. I have some art cards, and I have some cat and dog earrings, and all my proceeds go to charity. I like it here. This is my 2nd year. People stop by and chat. I make new connections. I sell a few things. It's fun. And today the weather's beautiful, so it's even nicer.
Hi folks, I'm Tia Kikai. We are here at the Linden Public Library. I'm here with 2 of my new books, The Many Ways to Live and The Many Ways to Feel. I also have a little coloring book right here for everyone to enjoy. I wrote these 2 books for my niece and my nephew to basically help them understand that there's so many ways to do things in life and so many ways to feel, and your feelings are valid. So check us out when you're around, and see you soon.
Hi, my name is Rita Janice Saul, and I'm holding here a copy of my beautiful book of poetry entitled Unlimited by Rita Janice Saul. As you can see, it has a very beautiful cover which I designed. It is filled with gorgeous words, poems of the heart and the soul that'll touch you. It touches on all subjects of life, life's experiences, nature, love, loss, spirit, God, what goes on in the world, self-reflection, anything and everything that we've all experienced over the course of a lifetime. All the photographs, again, are all original by me. It's my heart and my soul. It's online everywhere on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, eBay, the digital platforms. It makes a gorgeous present for yourself, a loved one, great for sitting around the poolside or at the ocean. And I'd love to just let you know that my Unlimited Sisters just came out. Her almost twin sister, Rainbows Are God's Way of Saying I Love You and Other Reflections of a Wandering Soul, which is a book of my own personal self-quotes, pearls of wisdom, beautifully orchestrated, all original images once again. This is not yet online, but soon. Keep an eye out for it. But words of my heart, my passion. If you want to make yourself happy, feel free to look it up, purchase a copy here, go online, Rita Saul on Facebook. You will find me everywhere. Unlimited by Rita Janice Saul. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Omar Ashur. I wrote the book, We Are Not So Different. I also wrote another book called Papa Tommy. So my books are basically all about children being basically included in a classroom because I am a teacher. I did teach elementary, and in my classroom there were students of different ethnicity, and it was really hard at first for them to get along at first until this classroom was a little bit more about what they wanted to see in the classroom. So basically, it's just including students and letting them know that even though we are different, we are all awesome in our unique ways. So yeah, these are my books, We Are Not So Different and Papa Tommy. Thank you guys.
Hi everybody, my name is Steve Falco. This is my book, Mickey Mantle's Last Home Run. This is a book that I wrote several years ago. It's about growing up in the 1960s. It's about a young fellow, a 15-year-old kid who's a big Mickey Mantle fan, and he's friends with his buddy Jonathan, and they have a lot of adventures in 1968, which is a really tough year to grow up in because our country was falling apart. There was the war in Vietnam. There was the assassination of Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy. And somehow TJ and Jonathan managed to get through that year, even though there was disturbances in their school and in their town, racial tensions, but they managed to maintain their friendship, and they finished up the year with a good time. So this is a nice book. It's a good book for young adults. It's a good book for baseball fans everywhere. So thanks a lot, and I hope everybody's enjoying the day here. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Melanie Alaman, author and illustrator of the Flash and Fidget books. These books are geared to children with special needs, keeping the fonts large, putting a print per page, and keeping the chapters short to keep them engaged in reading.
Listen, peace and love out there. My name is Keith Nweze. I'm at the Independent Authors Expo in Linden, New Jersey. I'm the publisher, author, owner of Raw Thoughts LLC. I'm around a bunch of beautiful kings and queens, authors that put their ideas into action. I definitely want y'all to support the Independence Expo. They're doing beautiful things. These are some of our projects. My latest book is The Black Collection Volume 2, released this October 2021. And as you see, I have a series of books. You can find my books on Amazon.com under Keith Nweze. You can also find me on Instagram, @King616. I'm on Facebook, Keith Nweze. I want y'all to be blessed out there. I want y'all to support all of my authors. They really put a lot of hard work and creativity in their projects. And I want y'all to live your life with peace and love.
Good afternoon. My name is Winifred Uri. I'm author of My Heart Speaks. It's a short book of just 4 entries, poetry and prose. It's dedicated to my granddaughter who's starting her 2nd year of school this year. The first poem is a letter to her, telling her I want to see her living her dream. And the second poem is called Black Womanhood. It's a narrative poem telling the story of Black womanhood from the past up till now. The third entry is called Black History. It's similar to an acrostic poem. And each letter tells something about Black history, what it means to me, past, present, and future. And the last writing is called Sunrise, Sunset. And that's a poem I wrote after the death of my husband. And I'm thanking God for all the tender mercies he has given me. Thank you.
My name is M. Rose Peluso. My book is Behind the Tapestry, My Discovery of God's Grace Amidst Chronic Pain and Loss. I've been a 23-year chronic pain sufferer from a rare neurological condition, but I also spent 8 years in the Catholic convent. And while I was in the convent, becoming a sister was when I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me as far as what my pain was from. And I had a lot of misdiagnoses, undiagnoses. And not very much compassion from the sisters. So I felt pretty much while I was alone the whole time that I was there. So Behind the Tapestry basically tells that story of all that I went through to make peace with my condition and my chronic pain and the loss of not being able to stay in the convent. And I wrote the book with the sole purpose of helping other chronic pain sufferers and to bring awareness to the type of condition that I have, which is a rare neurological condition that not a lot of people know about. And that's what my hopes for Behind the Tapestry is to spread the word and to give hope to other chronic pain sufferers. Thank you, I appreciate it. God bless.
Hi, I'm Marlene Harris Jasper, and I'm the author of Confidences. It's a book of motivational poetry. So the purpose of the book is to give you things to think about, let you meditate on them, journal on them, and empty out some of the things that you're carrying around inside. I think if you read this book, it's for women of all ages. You'll find someone or something that is relatable, and it'll give you some room to breathe, because that's what it's about. Letting go so that you can breathe easier.
Hi, my name's Eric Nierstedt. I'm the author of the Pantheon Saga. It's a book about forgotten gods of different mythologies who are now living among mortals and basically trying to keep things going as best they can. And then they discover that the world might be coming to an end and they have to decide if they want to do something about it or if they should forget about humanity the way they've forgotten about them. Currently there are 3 books in the series, 1, 2, and 3. And a collection of short stories about the gods back in their day. The books are currently available on Amazon.com and also in Barnes & Noble. And please pick it up. It's a great series that mixes a number of different cultures and mythologies together and tries to examine what it is to have once been a god and what it's like trying to be a person.
Hi, I'm Judy Goddard, the author and illustrator of My Navis Inc., a picture book that was published by me in 2020. The book is, it's a love story that I wrote for the Navesink River, which was my best friend growing up.
My name is Jacqueline Walker, and I am the author of A Season of Disruption. It is a memoir celebrating Caribbean heritage and paying homage to generations of Caribbean mothers whose acts of courage and determination made a way for their families and set a foundation for legacies for generations to come. Thank you.
Hi, this is Godfrey. I'm the author of From Depression to Destiny, My Faith Journey. It's a book about my faith journey, how I became a writer, and the challenges that I had. I had many challenges to deal with growing up in living in Guyana and coming to United States, immigrating to United States with my family. Some of the challenges I had and some of the things that helped keep me strong and healthy. And I talk about depression, my issue, how I dealt with depression and how I overcame depression. My wife co-authored the last chapter, which dealt with wellness, and we both talk about the issue, the way in which we felt fitting for us. Depression is a health issue, and I feel good about talking about overcoming depression, and I think it's an issue we can't run from. It's a real issue, and until we address depression, we will never get hold of it. And I'm thankful that I can write about this issue and help other people to overcome this issue. It's an issue that I think in our society, we have a lot, and we need to overcome it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joari Orsini. I am the author of The Magnificent Lunch. I also have it in Spanish, El Almuerzo Magnifico, on Amazon. So the story follows the main character, Joari, and she just came to this country and she's assimilating into the culture. But she's slowly starting to forget all the staples of her own homeland. So the story tackles the importance of never forgetting your roots and your heritage. You can find it on Amazon. And With each purchase, you'll have a coloring page, so please feel free to visit joaricreates.com for information and also classes that I offer. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Tom Kranz. I'm an independent author here at the IABX Book Expo. I've got science fiction books for sale. It's okay, it's all right. A lot of action here today. I've got Moon Rescue and Time Travel Rescue, my two sci-fi books. I spent a lot of years in the news business, so I couldn't make stuff up. Now I can. So look for my name and my books on Amazon, and I appreciate your support.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. This is my book, Getting to Know Yourself, Do You Know You? I decided to write the self-help workbook because instead of a novel, you don't want to hear about my story. You want to do your own work. So I was going through depression, and that's not me, so I decided to do a self-help workbook. And yeah, it's just simple questions. It's for all ages, men and women. And I just want to say that you may not be everyone's cup of tea, but never stop pouring.
Hey everybody, I am Kevin Cornelio. I publish under the pen name KT Cornelio. And this is my debut novel, Awoken, a story about the highly sensitive life. This is the first in a series I'm writing, and it's a work of literary fiction, which means that it is a character-driven story. This story in particular follows not one or two, but 7 point-of-view characters, all over the range, all over the spectrum in terms of age, race, gender, ability, sexuality, even different species. So a very diverse group of characters that represent all different dimensions and levels of life.
Hi, I'm Cassandra Morphy. These are my books. I have about 24 of them here. These 4 are my main sellers. This is Mountain Princess. The main character is the crown princess of a mountain kingdom. She's trying to get married to her boyfriend from the neighboring kingdom, but the neighboring kingdom kind of kills everybody at the wedding. And it's more or less a female Robin Hood type of deal. With The Awakening, the main character kills her ex-husband and then moves in with the second wife. The Last Scientist, magic comes to Earth and pretty much kills all of science. And with No One Can Hear You Travel, it's kind of faking it, meets Starship Troopers. It's in the future, main character has to pretend to be married to her best friend in order to stick together while they join the Galactic Fleet.
Okay, I'm Cheryl Philippak. I'm the author of both these stories. They're animal rescue stories, they're nonfiction. The first one is a manatee rescued by the SeaWorld Rescue Team. And because they're going extinct, I wrote the story and I want to try to save the manatee. When you buy the book, you can adopt a manatee through the 800 number in the back. And this story is called Sylvia and Sean. It's a rescue story about how a firefighting team from South Boston, Massachusetts, rescued a husky dog from drowning in the ice in South Boston. When you buy the book, you can write to the firefighters, and I have their shirt and their approval to write the story. So I encourage you to purchase both books. Thank you very much for watching.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gloria Bosar. I'm from New Jersey, West Orange, Essex County, and this is my first children's book from Fafa and Global series titled ABC of Child Sexual Book. This book is for families to read with their kids. It's about awareness, education of prevention of child sexual abuse. I use 26 alphabet letters, and each letter have a meaning. For example, K is for kissing. It is not okay for a child to kiss anyone on the lips or forced to be kissed them on the lips. So it's basically a book that tells kids what to look out for, what not to do, tell parents the signs, the warning signs, good touch, bad touch. And basically we're just trying to prevent child sexual abuse all across the board.
Okay. Hi, my name is Anne-Marie Van Orden. I'm the author of Worlds Apart Together. Worlds Apart Together is a science fiction drama that I started creating when I was 8 years old. I was the youngest of 9, and it was a crazy, chaotic house. And I was a very quiet child, and I had a vivid imagination, so I would hide in my closet and dream up stories of faraway lands, places where my brothers and sisters couldn't find me. And so, fast forward to the year 2020, my son, who had just graduated from film school, we were talking about stories one day, and I told him the story, and he absolutely loved it and said it would make a great Netflix series. So I started writing it, and I decided to self-publish it. This is the first of a series of 7, and we're looking for a producer to hopefully produce it on Netflix.
My name is Arthur Avalon Brown, Avalon Solette Brown. There's a lot of Avalons out there. I've been coming to this expo for the last couple of years. This year I'm here with my poetry book. It's a spiritual poetry book taken from the sermons from church. I took the pastor's teachings for the day and I turned them into poems. I'm also a children's author. I have just 3 of my children's books, Mommy, Why Do I Have a Cold?, The Church That I Love, and this one, That Needle is about for me. This one, the little girl has to get a vaccine to go to school. The doctor has to convince her that she has to take it, but she doesn't want to take it. This one here, the little girl, she's going to church. She loves church. This is her first time. So she wants to go back to church. And this one here is about a little girl that developed a cold, couldn't go to school. She wanted to know where the colds come from. Her mama got her Nana because her Nana's a nurse, and her mother tells her a lot of different things that colds might come from. I thank Renee for inviting me once again. I've enjoyed myself. I also had some jewelry that I was selling today that I made myself. So I'm just enjoying myself and all the rest of the authors. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Angela Page. I'm a children's book author from Maryland. And I'm very appreciative to be here at the Independent Authors Book Expo. Right now I have 3 children's books out. My books are written to assist students in learning how to read and to develop their reading, writing, and thinking skills. My books consist of 4 short stories. Before each short story, there's a word list so that they can practice sounding out words. Words are in the story, and to help them to develop their reading fluency, because when you develop reading fluency, that assists with reading comprehension. And at the end of each short story, there are questions that students can answer either verbally or by way of writing. And at the end of the book, there are suggested reading activities that you can do with your young readers using my book or any book that your young reader is reading. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Cassandra Charles and I am the author of the Jamie Reynolds Chronicles. We have a 6-book series here where you follow one character about 10 to 15 years of her adult life. You go through a span of everything from hardships to relationships to self-love to self-hate, everything that most women tend to go through in a span of their life. So we have a 6-book series. We have the first one is Lust and Lies, which is the introduction of who she is as an individual. Then we have Secrets Revealed, which takes you a little bit back about her childhood, a little bit more about who she is and why she is the way she is. One of my favorites is Pillow Talk 1. The men of both books, book 1 and book 2, gets their own voice. So this is their perception of everything that Jamie said in book 1 and book 2. This is their version of the story. And then we have book 4, which is going to be Too Good to Be True. The title says it all. She thought she was at a good place in her life, and honestly, it was just too good to be true, and it just didn't work out the way she thought it would. Pillow Talk 2, which is book 5. I was just bored, and this is one of the thicker books. This book is all over the place in the best way. This is when I dip my toe a little bit into the erotica world. So you follow one gentleman that is a little on the edge. He has a sex dungeon. There's a lot of stuff going on in here, but it's a good addition to the series. And then the finale, which is another thick book, is called Tender, T-I-N-D-E-R, Tender Love and Care. And what it is the finale. The character, Jamie, is over 30 and she is dating. And how do you date when you're over 30 in the 2000s? You date online. So this is her online version of life. And we hope that she finds love in the end. And after I finished this series, I said, I'm kind of done. What am I going to do next? So I went into standalone. So this is my latest standalone. It's called Thank You Next. It's an homage to failed relationships. So relationships don't work out. We always say that you find the good of that relationship and you learn and grow and you move on and forward. So here we are. Thank You Next is Rashawn's story. And my baby, my newest book that drops on Friday, August 12th of this year, 2022, is called Joyride. And when I dipped my foot a little bit in the erotica, I jumped all the way in. This is my first erotica book. It is called Joyride, and it is going to be a fantasy ride for all to read. It's a African-American couple. They're actually not a real couple, but an African-American pair that comes together and open up their first swingers club in Atlanta, Georgia. So this is my series in a nutshell. You can follow me online at social media, the Jamie Reynolds Chronicles. And again, I am Cassandra Charles, Cassandra with one S. Thanks, guys.
Okay, hello, my name is Carla Cherry. I'm from the Bronx, New York. I'm an English teacher and a poet. So I have 5 books of poetry. The first is Gnat Feathers and Butterfly Wings. The second is $30 in a Bowl of Soup. The third is Honeysuckle Me. The fourth is These Pearls Are Real. And the fifth is Stardust and Skin. So the books cover all kinds of topics about being a teacher, about being in love, about social justice. My books cover the gamut. So if you'd like to find me, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Carla, BXPoet1. And you can also find me on Amazon. My books are there for sale. And also have a website. It's Carla Cherry, BXPoet1.
My name is Alyssa D. Mika. I come from Queens, New York. Short Circuit, an epileptic journey, is about from when I was diagnosed at the age of 6, 1994, to now. There are multiple different experiences in here, from the unknown virus, diagnosis, medication, hospitalization, to some of the most romantic and fun points of time. As a Pulitzer Prize winner said, it's almost like a movie. Lights on, life, camera, and action in every perspective. From drama to love, hate, experiences of positive and negative, but my duty is to help people to uplift themselves, as well as help the stigmatization of epilepsy today, and to help of awareness. The poems were written 1997 to 2017, various years, and multiple poems were published even before the book.
Hi, I'm Eileen Harrison Sanchez. I wrote the book called Freedom Lessons. It's based on a story in a year of 1969, for the school year during the time that schools were still segregated in the Deep South. And it's a story from 3 points of view: a white teacher, a black teacher, and a black high school football player. The white teacher's story is based on my experience, and the other characters are done through research and interviews, and tells that story of how students, especially high school students, had difficulties when they closed the school. They lost their positions on sports teams and the prom, student leadership roles. And so it just gives a different understanding of that time.
Hi, my name is Eugenie Francois Pierre, and today I'm presenting my book, my first published book, From Barren to Blessed, A Child is Possible with God. So it's really a Christian devotional. It is catered to families who have issue conceiving. It dives into 7 stories of the Bible of women who had difficulty conceiving, and they waited for God for years, some of them over 20 years, until they got their miracle child. I'm also the founder of the ministry Through Grace Only. And through that, we pray and we gather with women who are dealing with infertility and really provide hope and support each other. Thank
The
you.
main characters are derived from 5 different mythologies: Nordic mythology, the Vikings, Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, Hinduism, and the Navajo Native Americans. I was really trying to kind of come up with a few different ones. I was very familiar with Norse and Greek, as I said, so I felt I could talk about those gods pretty well and choose a good character to focus on. I was reasonably familiar with Egyptian, but I really just thought it was really unique and colorful, and I wanted to try to talk about it. I was not as familiar with Hinduism, and since it's still active, I really had to sort of do my research and figure out the right way to do it without having a lot of angry Hindus at my door the next morning saying they wanted to talk to me. And with Navajo, again, I had to do, that was further research, which unfortunately was a bit harder to find because there wasn't as much actively available about Navajo mythology, especially since they're in a completely different part of the country. But I really wanted to try to find at least one god from each group that I felt was unique enough to write about. I'll wait for the plane. And once I had that, I think the challenge was really trying to make them feel human and relatable, because obviously you think of a god, you think of something that's up there and kind of hard to understand and hard to fully comprehend. So it was really so my challenge was really just trying to find 5 gods that I could actually make human and make people feel connected to. And hopefully I succeeded. If you come by and pick it up, you can let me know. I'm over. Oh yes, I'm over at tent number 3. So if you want to stop by, please do so.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Felicia Harris. I am the author of 2 keepsake books. The first keepsake book that I created is titled The Makings of Me. I created this book after my husband said he wished he had more details about his mother's life prior to her passing away. She passed away when he was only 16. So, they thought they had all the time in the world, but some things didn't come up in conversation. There are things about her that he doesn't know, but he wishes he knew. So I came up with the idea to create this book to prevent that problem for others. So if everyone fills this book out and passes it on to their loved ones or their younger generation, then no one will have to say, I wish I knew more information. So I did the hard part. I came up with the questions. All you have to do is fill in the blanks. And this book only retails for $14.99. The second book I created is called The Makings of Us. So the makings of me and the makings of us. The makings of us is for couples to complete as a bonding experience to bring them closer, to reminisce on their journey when they started, and to establish where they are going together. So the makings of me is for parents, grandparents, individuals, anyone. You don't have to have children to fill out and pass on as a lifelong keepsake. And the makings of us is for couples to fill out together. Each book is $14.99, and I have a sale, buy 3, get 1 free. And they make for a great gift for any and everyone. Thank you.
Big turnout, excellent. So I'm a science fiction writer. I wrote these 2 books. These are the books I'm selling today. I've been disturbed, like a lot of people have been, about climate change and about how little we seem to be able to do to stave that off. So my novels basically are kind of about the decline of the earth as we go on and what humankind is doing about it. This first one is about 2 environmentalists who come back to our century from the 23rd century to try to fix it, because by that time the earth is basically a bog of poisonous gas and you can't even walk outside without a suit. So they come back to our century to try to fix it. In the ensuing adventure, it turns out one of them is a homicidal maniac, and she kills a bunch of people. The other guy is a good guy, and that leads to the second book, where the protagonist actually escapes to the moon, where we have a big dome, and 5,000 people live on the moon under this dome to escape what's happening on the earth. Unfortunately, where humans go, trouble follows, and so there's crime and there's drug addiction, but there's a happy ending, honest to God. For this book here, I used as my science advisors, a group of 12th graders in the Philadelphia public school system. They go to a magnet school called the Science Leadership Academy. These are kids who are very much interested in science and technology. Their teacher happens to be my brother-in-law, and he used to work for NASA doing power sources and kind of the things that would need to happen to power spaceships in space. So between him and these two students, they gave me a lot of good background information that puts the science in the science fiction book. But there's also plenty of fiction and plenty of fantasy, and when you write science fiction, you kind of have to walk a line between science and imagination. That's what I try to do here. So the hardback editions are each on sale back in 10.4 for $12 each. I also have softback editions for $9 each, and I appreciate you guys checking me out. Thank you very much. All righty.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Moyers, and I'm the author of Till All These Things Be Done, which is a historical novel that will be published by She Writes Press on September 13th. So it's not out yet, but it's right around the corner. The novel is loosely based on an intriguing chapter from my own family history. It tells the story of Leola Rideout, a young woman grappling with her father's disappearance in 1919, and how that mystery unravels across her lifetime. Set against the rich but troubled history of Blacklands, Texas, during an earlier age of pandemic and social turmoil, it's a universal tribute to the heart's resilience in the face of daunting odds. I hope you'll come visit me at booth 2. I'm doing a giveaway, and I'm doing the drawing in 1 hour. So if you haven't signed up for the giveaway, it's free, obviously. And there are 4 winners, and I'm drawing in an hour. So make sure you come to booth 2, enter my contest, okay? Soon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, here's my book. Thank you.
My name is Debbie Green, and I'm the author of The Convention of Wives. It's my debut novel. First of all, I want to thank Renee. I don't know where she is, but I was here first really early and a pain in the neck to her, so I'm sorry. Linden is my hometown. I grew up here. And it's really nice to be here today. Things kind of come full circle. This is my first book fair, so I'm assuming this is a message from up there that I should be in Linden today. It's really wonderful. So The Convention of Wives is a novel about friendship, about marriage, about the challenges within both. And it tells the story of 2 women, Dina and Julia, over a 30-year period of their lives, from young motherhood until their marriages have gotten them into middle age. And it's really about the challenges within their friendship and within each of their marriages. It's a contemporary story, and it raises issues about family and identity and what is important after all. And it also is a historical novel because it flashes back into the 1800s and tells a story about each woman's family and how they came to the United States. And there's a mystery there and a connection between the two that neither is aware of. So that story unfolds as the novel unfolds. I wanted to briefly read a selection. The novel is available for pre-sale over there at my booth, and I'm giving a discount today, but you can also just go on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or you can go to your local indie bookstore and ask them to order it for you. So it's widely available. Okay, here we go, and then I'm going to pass this on. Meeting Rob seemed forever ago as her breasts leaked in response to Daniel. The holding, touching, feeding, her arms, her hands, her breasts, every part of her demanded by the children, her husband, every minute of the day. She was losing the constant struggle to maintain sovereignty over her own body. After a quick visit to the kitchen, she settled on the rocker with Daniel on her lap. He fussed and struggled momentarily, and then shockingly began sucking on the bottle of formula. "Thank you," she whispered, looking at the small tufts of hair forming on the crown of his head, smelling his delicious baby scent. She sang Joni Mitchell's Both Sides now to him softly, calming them both. He stopped eating and looked up at her. She was in love, perhaps a bigger love than even she and Rob had. Then Daniel's face scrunched into that of the old man he would someday become, as she felt the heat expand in his diaper. "Thank you, Joni." She changed him quickly. The nursery clock read 2 a.m. when she realized that some of this was within her control. Not much, but some. She turned the bottle, eyeing the ingredients label. Lactose, maltodextrin, ultimate sin of motherhood, my ass. She'd managed to take a small part of her life back. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am the author of My Heart Speaks. My name is Winifred Uri, known as Winnie. This book is a short book. It's both poetry and prose. It has only 4 entries. The first 2 are poems and the second 2 are prose writings. The first one is dedicated to my granddaughter who will be starting her 2nd year of college in September. And in that dedication, I write to her, always believe, exercise your faith, and trust in God. And the poem is a lyrical poem. The first poem is dedicated to her. It's called A Poetic Letter to My Granddaughter. And it's a lyrical poem because it talks about feeling and emotions, and I'm encouraging her to live her dream. The second poem is Black Womanhood. It's 8 pages of 7 lines each, and it's a rhyming poem. It's a narrative. It tells the story of Black womanhood. But of course, I couldn't tell the whole story in just 8 pages. So it's an overview. The third writing is called Black History. That's similar to what you call an acrostic poem. I took the letters of the words Black History, the first letter of each letter in each word, rather, and started a description of what Black history is. I'll just try to randomly pick a letter and see what it says here. K, I'll take K. K is for the keeping of strong family ties, to assure the foundation of African American children, to inspire them to righteous living, future leadership, and the achievement of success. And the last writing is called Sunrise, Sunset. That's also prose. It talks about how I thought about my husband's sunrise and sunset after he died. And then I moved on after realizing who I am and what God has enabled me to do. And I thank God for his tender mercies in my life. Thank you all. Oh, and you can get this book at my website, www.winuri.com, WINEURE.com. At Ex Libris is my publisher. It's a self-publishing company. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eileen Sanchez, Eileen Harrison Sanchez. I grew up in a town not far from here, Clark. I used to come to this library as a high school student, which was a long time ago. My book is titled Freedom Lessons. It's a novel. It's historical fiction. The story takes place in 1969, 1970, in a small southern town in Louisiana where schools were still segregated in 1969. The story is about that year when the Supreme Court made a final decision that all schools needed to be integrated or they would lose federal funds. And so this school that the characters tell you about was closed overnight in the middle of November. So school starts in August. That was quite a challenge for the teachers and for the students. It's based on my own experience. There's 3 characters, 3 points of view: a white teacher, a black teacher, and black high school student, an athlete, a football player. And so you learn about what the mandated integration was like in the South. Growing up in New Jersey, things were a little bit different. They continue to need to change. But so this gives you a a point of view, particularly from the high school students' point of view, about how when their seniors moved into the white school, they had lost their student leadership opportunities, the sports positions they had on the football team, the basketball team, baseball team. And you really start to understand the impact of that event. So I have, as I said, it started out as a memoir. And as I wrote the memoir, I realized that there was so much more to the story that I needed to do a lot of research. And I found some dissertations. I interviewed people from the South. I went back to the town that I worked in and taught in. And it just taught me a lot of things. When I was preparing to talk about my book, it came out 3 years ago, the publisher asked me to come up with the important points. And that I realized that, well, what are the freedom lessons? So I'd like to read what the freedom lessons are for me. Treat others as you would like to be treated. Have courage to confront uncertainty, intimidation, or danger. Family provides security, identity, and values. Prejudice is taught and learned. And it takes individual actions to create social change. And those freedom lessons, I believe, are I took them from the characters as I wrote them in the story. So I hope you take a chance and find out about my book. I'd also like to just say, it was a day like this, second chapter of my book, the character goes into the diner and got some iced tea. So you can come over and get a iced tea bag from me. It makes a quart, not a cup, so you have to read the recipe. And this afternoon I'll be doing a workshop on raising readers, getting our kids hooked on books. I'm not a children's book author, but I am an educator. I worked in public schools for 40 years. And so it's a part of my platform to really talk about kids' books and the diversity that we need to find in books. So I hope you'll come and see me inside. It's air conditioned at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
We have the mayor of Linden here, Mayor Armstead, and I just want to say again personally thank you to him and the city of Linden for opening their doors to the IABX. Give them a round of applause for that. Yes. And he just wants to say a few words. So.
And it'll be a very few. First of all, sorry that I got here late, but I was told as I got here that I wasn't late, and I guess my arrival I was so fortuitous because I met this lovely lady as we both got at the table at the same time. So I'd like to welcome you all here to Linden. It's your 9th annual Independent Authors Book Expo, so we'd like to welcome you here. We all know that reading and writing is a very good thing. I'd like to write a book myself one day. Okay, tell you how I became the mayor, how we got here. I'll call it. You know. And it will be I think it'll be a bestseller if you listen to, if you read it, you know. So anyway, thank you all for coming out. We appreciate you all coming to Linden, and look forward to having you again if you so desire.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Godfrey, the author of From Depression to Destiny. It's my faith journey, how I came to writing this, how I come about writing this book. It's a memoir of my life, how I was raised, and coming from Guyana, a country where I was born, and coming to United States. How life was for me after immigrating from Guyana to United States. Some of the challenges I had, going to school, from high school to college, living with my parents, working at home, working on my own, finding independence. This book has helped me to overcome my fears, overcome my fears, my doubts, and help me to stay positive. How to have focus in my life. And today I bring you this book to just give you a little nutshell of how my life developed. I had in my family I had 10 of us, 10 siblings, 7 brothers and 3 sisters, and my mom and my dad. And we all didn't live in the United States for most of our lives, but we came here and we work and we make success the best, work hard and we achieve the things we achieve. Some of us have homes, some of us have a family, and through it all, we made it because we had faith. Faith started from home. My parents always taught us how to pray when we wake up in the morning, how to pray, and to help us to have a good day. And we also had those ideas of living in the community, respecting the elders in the community. Many of you know that how our community is today is not how it used to be before. We were raised like a village taking care. It takes a village to raise, to raise a child. So I was raised on that. Today we see a lot of our young people are moving away from that. We don't have that good relationship that we had with our family, with our neighbors, with our family. And we are a little chaotic. We're not so happy with how. But from my experience, I can tell you how I was able to live through it was because I had faith in my mom. I had faith in my dad, my neighbors, my friends. And they helped me to come through, to go through college, because it's not that I feel I couldn't make it to college. I could, but I had to have faith in God and believe in God that God would bring me through, and respect those elders in the community, supporting the seniors in the community. Those are things that I was raised on. Helping someone, who needs help. Having a positive self-image of yourself and helping others to have a self-image of themselves too. Helped me to come a long way. Today with me is my wife, my beautiful wife, Devine, who helped me to co-author this book. And I'm pleased that she's here. She's going to share with you what part she played in putting this book together and helping me to just find my destiny. Find my destiny. Destiny for me meaning having the right friend, having the right situation to get into. Sometimes you go out there or you're at home, you're thinking, what should I do? What should I do for tomorrow? You don't know tomorrow, you don't know yet. None of us know whether we're gonna make it tomorrow. We don't know, right? But by faith, and having that supply, we know that we're gonna see a next day. We have that hope that we're gonna see a next day. We're gonna have the very best of our lives. And we have that because we have that faith. We make it through. And for me, I thank God that I can make it through. I thank God that I have friends. I thank God that I have a wife who supports me, who loves me, who I can love, who I can share when she's having challenging time. I can help her, I can support her. And for me, this means a lot that I'm able to write this book. And I can talk to young brothers, young friends who I meet who's just going through tough time, helping him or her how they can get through their life too and make life a success, that you don't think of things, in a negative way, but you have that positive outlook and you make it. You make it and you make it, and I know you can. I know many of the people here today that are promoting their book have the similar idea that they're trying to get out to you, that they are persistent and they work hard and they made it. And today I would like to introduce to you my wife, who helped me to co-author this book, From Depression to Destiny. And she will share with you our journey in this book, how we made it. And thank you all for listening to me. And I hand it over to Devine, who is my wife, wonderful wife. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, wonderful husband. Okay. Yes, please. Okay. All right. So I want to thank Sister Renee and IRBX for having us here, Sister Ruth and the whole team. It's really a pleasure and it's an honor to be here. And I want to congratulate my husband, Godfrey, on his first book, first of many. He worked so hard on this book. You know, I remember during the pandemic, and so he works in the Bronx, and we live in New Jersey, so that's quite a commute. It's like almost 2 hours to go and almost 2 hours to come back home. So when the pandemic came and everything shut down, and he had to do school from home, then there was like 4 hours in his day where he did not have to travel. And he said to me, do you think I could really write this book? He had all of these writings stacked up. And I said, do you think I could write? I'm like, just write the book, you know? And when the pandemic came, that was the perfect opportunity. I said, listen, now is the time to do it. Those 4 hours that you spend traveling, that's the time to write a book. And he was really committed to it, you know. I mean, even the portions of the tech and all of that, you know, he needed the assistance he was behind me like, David, can we do this now? Let's get this doing now. And so even though I started the train going, he just put the fire under it, and I commend him for that. The other thing I wanted to emphasize was his trust in me to write the wellness chapter of the book. Now, after Godfrey's depression diagnosis and the help he got, the medical help he got, that's when I met him after all of that, right? So I did not go through that depression journey with him. And so after we met, and he knew what I was about in the medical field, and I started to explain to him some of the things I do, then he started to use some of the tools that I share with my clients. He said, this thing is really helpful, girl, you know, this thing is good. And so when he was writing the book, he did ask me to put that. So I have a chapter, the last chapter of the book is dedicated to that. But I want to read an excerpt, not of my work, but really and truly the core of him having this diagnosis and sort of the people who brought him over the hump. And yeah, that's what I want to read right now. And the title of it is Panic Attacks, Diagnosis, and Hospitalizations. Leading up to my emergency room admission were times when dealing with tough issues, situations, and reflections made me afraid and panicked. I felt like I was in a frozen state. One evening, I had a very strange experience while walking home. I had just left my sister's house via a route that I took every day, but this time it was getting dark. I saw a group of men who I believed were strangers in my neighborhood. The men stared at me. Why? I did not know. Mindful that there were crimes taking place in the city, I kept my distance and quickened my steps. That moment was very scary for me. I wasn't happy at all about what was happening around me. I had no friends close by, and the blocks were long with dark streets. I felt alone. The men's looks were unpleasant, and I thought they were out to harm me. Why? I did not know. I started running home, and when I got there, I shared my terrifying experience with one of my brothers and my mom. I knew that I had done nothing wrong to anyone, but when I saw those strangers looking at me, I got scared and confused. In retrospect, I remember having a lot on my mind at that time, and this could have contributed to some of the fear I was experiencing. My mother and sisters prayed for me that evening, but even though they meant well, it was somehow difficult to forget what had happened. I started to tell myself that I needed to overcome this fear on my own. I told myself that I was not the first one to have fears. Many in the Bible had fears, and I just needed to be strong and talk with others. I did not want that panic moment to happen again. However, it was difficult to forget that night, and I continued to have more and more panic attacks until I was eventually diagnosed and began to receive treatment for severe depression and anxiety disorders. Although I received medical help that day when I broke down, I had to go to the emergency room, I am still convinced that the most important thing that contributed to my healing was that I looked to my faith. It was during the time when I was hospitalized in the psychiatric unit at the hospital that I gained a better understanding that I was chosen by God for a reason and that I needed to serve Him. I would go on to be hospitalized on another 3 occasions for relapses from this condition. Being in a hospital for treatment was no joke. I felt like I should not be there and wanted to leave right away. But I really needed the help and had to be there based on the doctor's findings. It is my submission to receive help from the medical professionals that helped me to be able to return to work and function effectively on the job while taking care of myself and my family. During my hospital stays, my studies and journal writings intensified. I knew that these writings were a way for God to help me to be delivered. History was made on those hospital wards, but it was obedience that brought the blessings, Deuteronomy 28:2, and faith that catapulted me into a life of destiny which no man, woman, or child can take away from me. God has done it, and my victory is sealed with the blood of Jesus. Praise God.
Thank you, Devine.
Thank you.
Such an awesome representation of where I was in terms of health, depression, and God brought me through. And also my wife. She is the one that really helped me to make it. And you know what? Today you might be at a place where you feel you're alone. Or you never know what tomorrow going to be. But if there's anything in what was read to you could be used to help you, use it. You know, knowledge is important, you know, and we take advantage of that. Thank you so much. God bless.
Hello, everyone, and thank you guys. Hi. Thank you guys for coming out. This is my 2nd year at the IABX Expo, and I'm an inspirational author. Right now I have a poetry book that is dedicated to women and mothers. I have a inspirational essay book, but my main book right now is A Season of Disruption, which is a memoir. And this book really speaks of the struggles in my family's life, a particular event when a disruption changed our futures. And it is a Caribbean heritage story. It speaks of, again, when there was a tragedy in my family and my mother was forced to make some unmanageable choices. And thank you. And some unmanageable choices. And the main choice that she really had to make at the time was that my father passed away unexpectedly. And she was fairly young, and her children were fairly young. We were between the ages of 15 and 8. And she made the choice at the time to leave us, not with someone, but by ourselves, because no one else would take us. And so she left us by ourselves, and she made the journey to the U.S. to make a way not just for us to come, but to make a way, she said, to set a foundation and a legacy for future generations. And so this book really depicts the parallel journeys of 5 children growing up by themselves, and then a mother, struggling to set that foundation, and then takes you through both journeys and bring you back to today, where we've come back together and looking through those years, and then looking at where we all are today and how it all turned out. So that is a season of disruption. And as I said, I started out writing poetry. And so what I'll read for you is actually a poem that is the preface to this book, and which really speaks to the emotion and what was felt in the situation and in writing this book. And it's called Tomorrow. Yesterday I laughed, today I cry. What will tomorrow bring? Yesterday was filled with joy, hopes and dreams soon to be fulfilled. Today, there is pain and dissatisfaction. Failure and losses abound. Yesterday, I climbed to the mountaintop. Today, I tumble to the valley below. But tomorrow, I must begin my climb again upward, remembering yesterday and today, recapturing hopes and dreams, never repeating failures, laying down burdens, finding a pot of gold, sharing experiences, creating a future from the past and the present, realizing that life is a mixture of good and bad, winning and losing, ups and downs, yesterday and today, believing that there will come a tomorrow. So really the premise of this book and of this story is that obstacles are going to happen in your life. They're going to come. You can't stop that. But overcoming them really motivates not just yourself, but it encourages others to do the same and even better and to soar. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to God, because without him, I would not have this vision. Secondly, I would like to thank the Independent Authors Book Expo for inviting me and for me being here. I would like to start off with introducing myself and then talking about the reason why I published this book. So I am Jasmine again. I am now a certified life coach and a new author. I work in the mental health field where there are individuals who can't advocate for themselves. So I feel that that is my job and my purpose, to advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. I decided to publish a self-help workbook because I was going through a very, very dark time. I was very low, very depressed. I've lost two very important people to me. They died 11 days apart. So I had, oh God. Okay, sorry. I lost two very important people to me, 11 days apart. And then a couple months after, I lost my job. So I had to find jobs here and there part-time, but now I am employed. So I wrote this self-help workbook because I decided to write a self-help workbook instead of a novel because I wanted everyone to do the work for themselves. The title is Getting to Know Yourself, Do You Know You? And no matter how old we are or what stage in life we are, there's components in our lives or about ourselves that we don't know. So these are questions, simple questions. This is for anyone, any age range, from a toddler, if you can read, to 100 years old, pretty much. They're simple questions, and you just answer the questions, and the purpose is for you to read your answers aloud, because a lot of the times we don't know what we are thinking. So you want to read your answers aloud to hear, wow, like this is really what I'm thinking or what I'm going through. And it just gives you the moment to like figure out where you need help and where you want to grow. So my self-help work is called Getting to Know Yourself, Do You Know You? Volume 1, and there's 2 more coming. So, and I'm located at Tent 4. So, Jasmine, thank you.
Thank you for coming out and for being here today, whatever brought you here. So my name is Kevin Cornelio. I publish under the pen name KT Cornelio, and I'm here to discuss my first novel, my debut novel, Awoken. So Awoken is the first book in a series I'm writing about the highly sensitive life. This story and the series as a whole is a work of literary fiction, which means that it is a character-driven story. And this particular story follows not one or two, but actually a diverse group of 7 different point of view characters. And they range all over the map in terms of different ages, races, genders, sexuality, ability levels, even different species, if you could see some of them here. So with each chapter of the book, readers spend a day in the life of each of our characters in turn as they strive to overcome their unique set of challenges, confront their fears, heal from past traumas, forge new relationships, and really live their lives as a highly sensitive being. You heard me mention the term highly sensitive life, and what that refers to is being a highly sensitive person, as the term is coined, which really speaks to this experience of just living life and experiencing life very intensely. Some of the characteristics are characteristics I've experienced throughout my life, even though I didn't know the term until recently. But I've always had the experience of being very sensitive to things, whether it be sensory input like loud noises, bright lights, and strong smells, or emotions my own, but also the emotions of others. Highly sensitive people tend to be very empathetic, sometimes empathic. Other traits that go along with it involve being very connected to the arts, deeply moved by music, by poetry, by literature. And so to experience life this way is not so easy. I struggled and suffered in silence for a long time and really rejected these parts of myself. Basically tried to change myself, to get rid of the sensitivities that I didn't feel were right, were cool, were the way to be. And after a number of years, it culminated in me burning myself out, stressing myself out, developing eating and exercise disorders to the point where I lost 1/3 of my body weight and almost lost my life. And it took all of that radical experience to wake me up to who I really was, to how I was supposed to be living, and to really embrace those parts of myself. And so that's what led to me writing this story, to really channeling my experiences, my thoughts and beliefs into these characters, into this story, and giving representation of all different dimensions of life, all different levels of life, and all different ways we can experience life, whether you're highly sensitive or not. So this is my book. I'm very excited to be here for the first time, and hopefully you guys can stop by and say hello. I am in tent 5 back there, and I would love to chat with you, so please come and say hi. Thank you all.